In a concrete jungle with the garden is Eden. Right. Where one poster can hang you with a great speed. Where you can run.
All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Thursday evening. Time is going in this NBA season, man. We have reached the quarter season mark already. So, of course, we got to tap in with our guy. We tapped in the preseason. We got to tap in at the quarter season and check the temperature of the orange and blue. Ian Begley joins us here. You can catch him, Knicks Insider, covering the Knicks for SNY TV. You can catch him on the putback on SNY's digital channels. You can also catch him on Honda Sports Night, as well as Twitter. He's all over the place, man, doing the great job. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it in the interest of time. You guys had questions for Ian, and he's going to knock it out and answer it for you right now. All right, Ian, welcome to the show, man. How you been, man?
Hey, man, I love being here. What's better than Sky Zoo intro and CP on a Thursday night?
Yeah,
nothing.
A mutual friend of ours, friend of the program, and does a great job, man. All right, Ian, let's get right into it. Before we get into season progress and stuff, obviously the big news is about Giannis. You spoke about it today on the putback. People want to know, Knicks and Bucks engaged over the summer. Are they details in terms of who was involved and where are things standing right now?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what the details were over the summer, like, I'm not 1,000% sure, like, exactly. I mean, I heard names. I'm sure everybody hears names, but I'm not 1,000% sure exactly what it was. So I don't want to throw anything out there. But, if you do the math, Knicks obviously made an offer that worked under the cap, and so they felt they made a legit offer. It wasn't just kind of playing footsie, so to speak, with Giannis being available. So they made a strong offer. Now, where it sits now, I mean, I know you said it, and I think it is 100% accurate in terms of Knicks liking where they are right now. They like the team. They want to see this team, see where this team goes, and so to think that they're like Leon Rose is on the phone with John Horst 7 times a day. No, I don't think that's the case. And also, I mean, you got to get to the point where Giannis demands a trade or asks for a trade. We're not there yet. So, yeah, before you even get into it being a potential reality, a lot of hurdles to clear. And then CP, we talked about it, like, Giannis, if he wanted to come here, he could try to strong arm his way here, because he has that extension coming up. He could tell every team, I'm not signing with you. I'm signing with the Knicks. Or he could get Milwaukee to work with him. But both of those scenarios are tricky. So I think it's still like a lot of needles to thread for Giannis to actually end up in New York.
Yeah, and to me, it's a Herculean effort, man, because, not only do the Knicks have to get lucky in terms of what they can offer, we know that there's, you could count on the entire league potentially having better offers, whether it's for a long-term or for a rental. And then not only that, they have to make sure that they have enough left to have a championship team with Giannis and build depth. So it's, they got to flip these guys for picks and then get more depth. It's a tricky trade to make mid-season when, you have momentum from last year already.
And like, what does Milwaukee want? Are they blowing it up? Because if they're blowing it up, you have to get the draft capital from flipping other players. They want to win. Maybe you have some guys that fit that. But yeah, there's a lot of variables here. The one thing that we talked about it, but I know that for sure Giannis, when he's thinking about the Knicks, obviously Shams reported that it was the only destination that he was thinking about over the summer. This has kind of been in the air, so to speak, for a while. And the idea that he could deliver a championship to New York, obviously Knicks haven't won one since '73. I think that appeals to Giannis. The idea he could win one here, that's where it was over the summer. Where it is now, we'll see over the next few weeks, but certainly he liked the idea of coming here and helping to get this team to a ring.
Hey, he'd be legendary. You could start putting the statues up already with him and Jalen Brunson. Now, a couple other questions that the fans had in this regard is potential locker room spillover. You know, Karl Anthony Towns was asked this week about his contract extension or the fact that the two sides had not agreed to a number yet, and yet his name is constantly brought up in the trades, and name is also brought up when the Knicks lose, right? He's the most common scapegoat here. Any potential locker room spillover that you fear or you think could be happening just based on these rumors?
You know, something that I've kind of gotten to know over the years is like, usually, especially if it's like a big name player, they're going to know what's going on before like reporters do, before fans do. They're going to know what's real and what isn't. I don't know if that's necessarily the case with every player on a roster. Maybe the guys at the back end of rotation won't have as good of a read as the top guys, but they'll know. If I had to guess, I would guess that Cat knows exactly where it was over the summer and where it sits now. And so I think that, look, the guys can get distracted from this. It can bother them. I think that's human nature. So I think you can't rule out the idea that, you know, somebody's going to be annoyed by the speculation and seeing their names out there. But that's why, like, I'm not 1,000% sure on what that offer was. I can't really say a name because I don't know. But like that's I think where it gets sticky, or people start to report like, hey, they had Karl Towns on the table, or they had Mikal Bridges on the table. That's where I think feelings can get hurt and things can kind of go sideways. I haven't seen that yet in terms of anybody reporting specifics.
So as you know, things stand there, nothing there right now on the Giannis front, and I don't think there will be in terms of a blockbuster by the deadline. But Knicks always trying to dabble in the margins, especially by the trade deadline, albeit a tricky situation now with them creeping closer to that second apron. I see their needs threefold. I look at the backup point guard spot. Look, I like seeing Kolek out there getting the minutes, getting the burn, but he's still overmatched at times. I look at the backup wing spot. Good news, as you reported, OG's coming back. Josh is playing well. Mikal playing phenomenal. I still think they need a little bit more versatility there. And then back up big. You know, Mitch is looking kind of laboring out there, man. Like, you know, Huck Porty, inexperienced. Yabusele, ineffective. Where do you think they address in those three areas potentially at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it. Those three areas are where the potential holes are. If I'm just thinking about it, and you're thinking about it logically, right? They had Malcolm Brogdon in camp. I think the hope was he was going to have that backup point guard spot to where you'd have a veteran there and a guy who has a proven track record in the league. Tyler Kolek, he's had really good moments. I think he's played well. I think he's, particularly defensively, I think he's impressed the Knicks. But if you're talking about winning a title, can you rely on a player with the experience of a Kolek, or do you need to go out and get a veteran? So that's why I go backup point guard first and foremost. What that market looks like, it remains to be seen. I mean, you know, Sacramento, I think, is going to be open for business. So maybe, you know, Dennis Schroeder, you know, Chris Paul. There's always kind of speculation about Paul. I don't think anything, I mean, I know nothing is there. I can say that definitively. But I do think that's the first order of business. If everything remains the same and everybody's health remains the same, then I think, you know, you go into that week before the deadline beating the bushes for a backup guard.
Now, Bondi had mentioned Alvarado. I like that as a potential reunion. He's making, I think he's roughly around $3 or $4 million with New Orleans, a team that's going nowhere fast. You know, it's hard because I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to take on extra years in salary, just given their cap situation. They very rarely do. But what about a guy like an Alvarado? What do you think?
Look, man, I'm always biased to those New York guys. I love him, and I think he would fit like a glove. Just his approach to the game, the way he plays. The money is tough, especially you mentioned the second apron. Like they're right up against it, can't go over it. And it just puts hurdles in front of you if you're trying to make deals. So off the top of my head, I don't know how the money would work, who would have to make it work, who would have to go out. But just in a vacuum, Jose Alvarado coming off your bench back in New York, I mean, yes, I think that would be a great fit. There was one game, I can't remember the game specifically, but it was in the Garden. I think it was during the COVID season he had a fantastic game, and he just put on a show. So yeah, I think that would be somebody I would at least make a call on if I'm them.
Shout out to my guy Jay from Florida. He mentioned the name Najee Marshall with the Dallas Mavericks. Had a great year for them last year. 2 more years left on his deal, including this one at $9 million per. What do you think about Najee Marshall at the wing spot?
Yeah, it's like, what is Dallas going to do? I know there were some reports about them wanting to hold on to Kyrie Irving, and people around the league still kind of are unsure. They think that they might want to hold on to Kyrie Irving, but at the same time, Cooper Flag is the guy you're building around. So what do you do there? How much do you try to quote unquote blow it up, or do you try to thread the needle of trying to compete while building around Cooper Flag? That's a message that's kind of been out there among teams from the Mavs. But if they say, hey, it's Cooper Flag's team, so we're going to get off of Daniel Gafford or Najee Marshall, then I think a ton of teams would be interested. I don't know specifically if the Knicks would be interested. I'm not sure. They may not. I don't know. I haven't heard one way or the other, so I don't want to say anything definitively. But yeah, the length of the contract I think could be a holdup. But if I'm New York and you're talking about the front court, right? CP, Daniel Gafford. I mean, I know he's. I think he has drawn interest already. With teams kind of smelling blood in the water with Dallas, and I'm sure Dallas would want draft compensation. The Knicks don't really have a lot of that, but that's a somewhere where I would be calling and checking the temperature on Dallas, because Gafford, I think, if you look at this roster, he could help you out. You'll probably have to sacrifice Mitchell Robinson, which I would hate.
Yeah,
personally,
that's tough.
Yeah, personally, I would hate it, but you look at business of basketball, Gafford, strong player, has a track record. So we'll see, man. But that's in Dallas is certainly Dallas and Sacramento, I think, are two places where you're looking at who's going to be available, who isn't going to be available. There could be a lot of movement there.
Going back to, I don't remember if we talked about this in the preseason show, but Brody, Russell Westbrook going to the Kings. I know a lot of Knicks fans he's a very polarizing player, but I'm just thinking about someone with life. And Chris Paul, forget about it, but someone with some legs still left in him. Was there no interest between the two sides in the offseason, or was he more interested in? I know the Sacramento thing was hot for the whole offseason, but was he more focused on the West Coast, or was there really no interest from your standpoint with the Knicks?
Yeah, right as free agency was starting, I know that there was mutual interest. Obviously, to what degree it was, I don't know, but for sure, Russell looked at the Knicks as a destination, and there were Knicks people who saw that as a good fit. I think as it went along, and as the Knicks continued to make moves, there just wasn't a spot for Westbrook, in a role that probably he would want.
Yeah.
So he kind of got ruled out based on the other moves they made. But certainly beginning of free agency going into that night one, there was mutual interest. And so, looking at Sacramento, maybe he becomes available. And I don't know, again, the money, I'm not 1,000% sure. I'm sure they could figure it out, though. A combination of salaries going out to make it work if they wanted to. Look, there's going to be options, I think, that back up guard market, and I think the Knicks are going to do their due diligence on that, again, assuming everybody's healthy going into that first week of February.
This is once again the quarter-season report. Salute to everybody on KFTV Nation. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. CP The Fanchise with the great Ian Begley on the other side. When I think about the trades and the limited assets that they have, I look at two people here who, from a salary standpoint and, maybe from a young player standpoint, may appeal, even though, one is very ineffective and one is basically inactive. Yabusele struggling. Diawara getting no burn. And, in his case, I look at a guy like a Diawara getting more minutes over him. To me, it's not a good reflection of how they're drafting as of late. What do you make of just those two guys and their roles with the team right now?
In a general sense, CP, I'm with you on the recent picks. You're not seeing a lot from them. And to me, if you're looking at the front office, you're grading them. The picks have not been great recently. So yeah, I'm with you there. But yeah, with Diawara, I think that sometimes how it works is like your guy's not playing and you figure out with the team, hey, can we send him somewhere where he might play? Can we figure out a good landing spot for him? Sometimes it ends up like that. And just given where everything has been and is with Dottie and the Knicks, wouldn't be stunned to see it end up at that place. And Yabusele, look, that was their big free agent signing, and you can argue over who's to blame, why it hasn't worked out, but it hasn't worked out, and that's another kind of poor reflection on the front office. Didn't give Yabusele big money; they didn't have big money to spend, but that was their biggest target, and yeah, it could be another one of those situations where everybody gets their heads together and you say it's not working here. Where can we get you to where you're comfortable and to where it works for us? So, yeah, those two, and then yeah, the idea that Mitchell Robinson not extended, CP. You know how the history of this place. If you're not extended, you get traded in a lot of different instances. So you see what happens there too with Robinson and with that potential extension kind of sitting there.
Yeah, and with the Yabusele thing, I was asked last night why I think he's struggling. I think, when you look at the way that he played with Philly, number one, he was averaging 26 minutes a night. So he had a lot of chance to just go out there and play his game. But also, I think it's a combination of the system and just in terms of they have him almost exclusively as a stretch big, whereas in Philly, his shot diet has changed tremendously. In Philly, they had him operating out of the pick and roll. He's diving to the basket. He's attacking the basket. He's using his size and physicality to his advantage. Whereas here, it's either, you got to get your threes up, you got to play defense, and then you got to hit the bench. So he's in a tough spot. He's struggling mightily. Whether or not he's in shape, I'm not so sure, but it's not working so far, man.
You bring up a good point because somebody, I forget who it was, I want to give them credit. Might have been Fred Katz asking about Yabusele not being used in the pick and roll and kind of why that was. They were talking to Mike Brown, and Brown said, look, he's a four in our system. There are different opportunities for him to kind of take advantage of what he's seeing and get shots and all that. But he's not being used as a five, so he's not going to be that screener that maybe he was in Philadelphia, where he was seeing pick and rolls more often and he was operating out of that. That hasn't happened here in New York. And maybe, you switch things up and you put him at the five off the bench, but I don't see that kind of drastic shift in the rotation happening. And yeah, it just hasn't worked out to date. And so we'll see where it sits, December 15th and beyond.
Keeping it on Mike Brown, 21 games into this, they're 14-7. What's been your impressions of Brown so far, these 20 games in?
Look, the results are good. I think strong. Like I think they've taken advantage of a schedule, especially a home schedule, where they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. The road has not been good. There's been some stumbles there on the road. I think it's crazy to talk about like anything in with a degree of certainty or finality, but I'm looking at Sunday, right? Because Orlando has looked good against the Knicks twice, and this is your third time you're playing them in a short period of time. You have a chance to make adjustments. You have a chance to clean up what wasn't working, and so I'm looking at that game. I think it's a noon tip, maybe 1 p.m. tip.
Yeah, noon.
As a big kind of barometer for Mike Brown and his staff and kind of how things are going. You look at the record's fine, but you want to start winning some of these games against, particularly in conference, tougher opponents.
One thing that was the big key factor in terms of him bringing here, just everything just kind of being the counter to Tibbs, more of a player coach, the relationship factor, but the collaborative factor. And we're hearing it from him. He's been very transparent, and you give me your thoughts. You're in the rooms with him, but to me, it sounds like he's been very transparent in the way that he's leaning on the assistant coaches, where I'm like, at some nights, I'm like, wait, are you the coach? Is Rick the coach? Is Gent the coach? Like, who's in charge here? But what have you made in terms of how, or at least it perceived, how they're working together?
Yeah, look, I think you could look at it both ways. The way I see it is like he's open to kind of hearing his assistants and coordinators and whoever has an opinion. He's going to listen. And I think ultimately that maybe empowers guys and makes guys, motivated because they know that what they're saying is actually going to be heard by the head coach, and whether he agrees with it, doesn't agree with it, at the end of the day, he's going to listen. He listened. He said on Josh Hart, he said, almost all of his staff was saying, start Josh Hart. He obviously went in a different direction, and he decided to switch it up and start hard. And you've seen what the results have been recently. So to me, that probably helps the working environment. That's how I would look at it, but I could see people looking at it different ways.
Keeping it on Hart, because with the news, as you reported, that OG upgraded to questionable for Friday's game against the Utah Jazz. Is Hart staying in the lineup? Where do you think they go with this lineup? They've had success with both Hart and Deuce in there. They've moved Mitch to the bench. The dog is coming back. Where do you think Mike Brown goes with the starting five?
Yeah, my strong assumption is that Josh Hart stays. I'd be surprised if he didn't stay. They still have some time to obviously make that decision for when OG comes back. But just given how Hart's played and given how solid he's been as a starter, you go back to how many games they've won with him as a starter, I do think they stay that way, and then Miles McBride comes back off the bench. Decision is yet to be made, but just based on the way the wind's blowing, I would assume Hart continues to start.
Yeah, and give credit to Hart, man. He's shooting the ball extremely well, given the finger injury and everything that he dealt with coming into this. He looks like he's clicking very well with this offense, playmaking, rebounding. He's back to his old self. So I'm with you. I don't see how he goes back to the bench for now, but Mike Brown has also shown the ability to be flexible with these rotations. So let's see what happens there. On the other wing spot, hey, man, talk about Mikal Bridges. What has been the key for Mikal Bridges this year? Because he's just dialed in offensively, the efficiency off the charts. Defensively, he's been killing it, especially with OG gone. What do you attribute to Mikal Bridges really just settling in here this year in year two?
Maybe it's just time, CP. Maybe it's just time and experience here, being here. You get to know everything. You get to know the building. You get to know the people, the support staff. Everything becomes kind of familiar. Maybe it's that. He's talked a little bit about, when he's been asked about it, he's talked about kind of having that comfort coming into this season. And it's really translated to the floor. I mean, the way he's shooting the ball, I think he's at 43% from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
And the three was such a big question early on last season, or for most of the season. And for him to be hitting it at such a high clip, the confidence is there. And I think, Mike Brown, and I hate to talk about Mike Brown just in terms of last season, because I think everybody kind of makes a comparison between him and Thibodeau. Thibodeau did a great job. But I don't want to make it sound like that. But Mike Brown, I think, has had a good impact on Mikal Bridges here in terms of his role, the confidence that he's instilled, the communication here. So I think different factors there for why Bridges has played so well. But this is the guy that the Knicks, traded for from Brooklyn. Yeah. This is how they saw him fit, and this is why they were so aggressive in doing it.
Yeah, I know you would want to say, we were joking on the show, he wasn't rocking with Tibbs, man. He wasn't rocking.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but, it just seems like that on the surface. As we look at, the next quarter, so schedule's going to get a little bit tougher. As you mentioned, the big match with Orlando coming up on Sunday. Offense clicking on all cylinders. How about the defense? Any concerns here from what you're hearing organizationally? They bring in Brendan O'Connor to help with that. How are they going to stagger Jalen and Towns, and anything on the defense?
I mean, look, you saw in Boston it was a struggle to slow down Jaylen Brown, and then what you're seeing, more so from a system standpoint, Mike Brown talked about it last night, they're going to give up a lot of threes, and they expect guys to get out and contest, but they're taking away the paint primarily. That's the thought process, and they know that they're going to give up threes. They hope that they're not wide open threes. But to me, it's something to watch, because if you continue to get burned from beyond the arc, and I think that the opponent field goal percentage from beyond the arc has been better lately. But if you get crushed from beyond the arc, do you have to switch up the strategy? Do you have to change what you would like to do in order to slow teams down? So I think you should expect teams to get looks from three, to get threes off. And if they, I shouldn't say continue, because it's been better, but if they shoot at a high clip, I just wonder if there's an adjustment made at some point.
Yeah, especially in the Boston game. I didn't like how, Boston was continuously targeting Jalen and Towns. It didn't seem like there was much of an adjustment there for Mike Brown until it got too late in the fourth quarter. But Ian, man, great show. Appreciate you coming in with us. And we'll be looking out for the updates. We're looking forward to OG's return for sure to make this team stronger. And continued great job and great success to you, man. Appreciate the time, bro.
Likewise, CP. I'm always watching. I'm always listening. You always have great information. And it's always great to be with you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. We'll tap in next time. All right. That was the great Ian Begley, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys are tapping in, man. The quarter-season report. I can't believe it's been, 20 games in already, man. It's been crazy, but shout out to Ian for tapping in with us, and salute to you guys for tapping in, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Leave us some comments in the chat. What do you guys think? Giannis on ice? Where do we go from here? Can they get a guy from with Alvarado? What do you guys want to do, man? Like in terms of them getting something on the margins. What do you? I would say ask this to the Knicks Nation. Of those three positions that we named, the backup point guard spot, Kolick, Clarkson, McBride, a backup wing because Dadier and Diawara are clearly not ready. Backup big. What are you prioritizing at the trade deadline? I almost waver on this all the time, man, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking at the backup point. I just feel like, can Kolick hold it down in a dogfight under pressure? Not so sure. Not so sure. But they're in a tight squeeze here in terms of how they upgrade this thing. Now, Leon has shown the ability to pull a rabbit out of a hat damn near every trade deadline. So I trust him. I got all the faith in Leon and Wes. But every year, you lose more and more assets, it's going to get trickier and trickier. So, that's what fascinates me about these guys and with this business. But like I said, Leon has showed the ability to get it done. But I think it's the backup. I think it's a backup point guard. The Brogdon thing really, really screwed us up. But when he came in here, he looked washed. I was almost hoping in a delusional way that, maybe he's just pacing himself for the regular season. He told us, I'm not pacing myself. I'm done. And literally left. He said, forget the bag. I got to go. So that was pretty bizarre there. But, maybe the writing was on the wall. Maybe he didn't have that many offers to begin with because a lot of teams did think he was washed. But that kind of took a step back for them. In the regular season, they'll have enough to get by. But I'm talking about in the postseason. It's going to be tricky. And maybe that puts more onus on Deuce. Maybe it's Deuce that really has to command things as the backup point. Because they need a guy that can get the paint touches and spray. Because let's be real, in a playoff rotation anyway, Kolick's not even playing. Your playoff rotation, as it looks right now, is going to be Deuce, Clarkson, Mitch as the bench. You're going to go 8.5. Yabusele on the outside looking in. Way outside looking in. He's got to get it together. Okay, Janelle Torre says center. Kolick is terrible on D. Deuce for the spray, for sure. Yeah, it's tough, man. Herb Jones price out of our price range. That's the thing, man. We don't have picks like that. We don't have money like that. It gets harder. It truly does. So, Knicks are going to have to find a way to make a deal. Who's calling Leon up by the deadline or maybe before? Time will tell. But speaking of deals, man, have you guys gone to Wayfair yet for your holiday shopping? Check them out right now because they're having a Cyber Week sale up to 70% off. Listen, man, the holidays are here. You got folks coming over. They want to watch a Knicks game with you. You got big meals being planned. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you're into, Festivus, and all of that stuff is around the corner right now, and the whole squad is pulling up, man. So you're like me. You got to get the house in order. Wayfair is where you need to go to tidy up, man. I told you guys in the past, I literally use Wayfair to upgrade one of my guest bedrooms. I got family coming over for the holidays. We're hosting, we're cooking and things of that nature. And you get everything. I got the lamp, the bedding set, the rug, you name it, Wayfair has it. From sofas, cookware, outdoor setups, they got it all covered. Fast and free shipping and low hassle shipping for sure. Wayfair even makes this setup simple. So you're good to go there. No stress. Perfect for a busy season. And as I said, they got 70% off all month long, from the big ticket items to the small stuff. Now is the time to get your space right before the family pulls up. So don't wait till the last minute and get left out in the cold, man. Go to wayfair.com to shop Wayfair Cyber Week sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. Okay, so make sure you guys tap in with our guys at Wayfair. All right, if you guys want to call up on the KFTV Discord, you can. Salute to everybody in the chat. Let me salute my franchise channel members in here. Who we got? We got a good crowd in here. Janal, I shouted you out. Shout out to Davel Rodriguez. Salute to you, Davel. Always in here. Smooth Guitar, always in here. Shout out to you, man. Always in here, always leaving comments in our comment section, man. That's a loyal KFTV supporter. Always see your comments after the show, so we appreciate the insights. Terrence Cox, same way. You know, we got our regulars, man, that leave us comments in the comment section that we definitely appreciate. Timothy Danzler, I see you. Curtis West, I see you, Curtis. Salute to you. Real Talk Radio, welcome to the family, man. You just joined the franchise channel members. My guy, Do Things, salute. Aggravated Man, always big up to you. Eric L. Beats, KFTV's resident DJ at the watch parties. Make sure you guys are pulling up. As the world turns, Knicks edition, man. Never a dull moment. We'll see what happens. But, you know, overall, I think the team is in a good spot, man. They're 14-7, and through 21 games, the coach has admitted to you almost every day that he's still trying to figure it out. The players are still trying to figure him out, as well as gain their own chemistry. The Knicks are in a good spot, man. You know, I'm not really standings watching just yet. I think it's a little too early for that. But not to knock anybody that does. I just haven't really been standings watching. But I think in the grand scheme of things, they're okay. They're definitely okay. Muted Growl, welcome to the franchise. Channel members, definitely appreciate you. Let me salute some super chats that are in here. Shout out to, let's pull it up here, John Torre. Says, what are the chances of getting an upgrade at center? Oh, Nick Richards. Nick Richards is a guy that people have been mentioning, but I'm not so sure if Phoenix is willing to give him up. You know, Phoenix is a team that we love to kick when they are down. Well, they're up right now. And they got rid of the Bradley Beal mistake. They traded KD, focused on Book, and they're playing well. Dylan Brooks and those guys, they're playing well, man. WK Real Estate, definitely appreciate you. Welcome to the new members. Jeremy, shout out to Jeremy. Jeremy 5775, number one in the chat leaderboard, $20 super chat. Says Brunson and Hart for Giannis gives Giannis a stretch 5 he needs in the Bucks a fair exchange. Do the Knicks consider it even for a moment? Listen, I've seen people trying to put cap in a deal for Giannis. I'd say lay off the drugs. Lay off that. You got to lay off that. Yeah, you got to lay off that. Leon's not doing that, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, I appreciate you for the super chat and considering it. But I don't think the Knicks would ever do that. I don't think the Knicks would do that. The point is trying to win with cap, not to trade cap for Giannis. I don't think we're at that stage of the game here. I understand what people are saying. You got to give something to get something. It lessens the Knicks' requested asking price. If you can put it, I get it, but there's no logic in it. So we got to get to Talento's throwing the worst take logos in there. Oh, we got to go. I saw somebody sent me some candidates for worst take. So we got to get worst take back up. The new season of worst take. We got to get it back up. If you guys have, clips around the NBA landscape, whether it's, podcasts or video, or maybe it's a text from the group chat that you think is just outrageous, send it to us. We'll reply to it on Worst Take. Email us, kftvmedia@gmail.com. We'll reply to it. And we will react to it as we always do. Okay? So there that is, man. Knicks taking on the Jazz on Friday. And hopefully the dog is coming back. If the dog is coming back, I'd be very happy about that. Even though the squad is playing well, even without him. Here and there. Definitely could have used him in the Boston game, but squad is playing pretty well. So I think he will be coming back, and I'll be looking forward to it. Let me shout out another sponsor of today's show, man, and that is Rula. Listen, man, I talked about the good things in the holiday season, but let's be real. Holiday depression is also real, especially here on the East Coast. You got daylight savings time. It's getting darker later. You get people get down in the dumps sometimes in the holidays. I know me personally, holiday time is a little bit tricky because as much as it's a great time, it's also a time where, I lost a lot of people close to me in life. So it's tricky to maintain that, especially from a mental level, man. So especially with the fellas, we don't like to talk about that. We don't like to take care of that, but it is important. And that's where Rula comes in, man. It makes therapy fast and affordable. They work with major insurance plans. Sessions can cost a little as $15. That's cheaper than lunch. But instead of a sandwich, you're investing in your peace of mind. What's good about Rula, guys, is that they've got over 15,000 licensed therapists nationwide, and Rula actually matches you with the right one. No guessing. No wasting time. You could be talking to someone as soon as tomorrow. Thousands of guys already made the move, and don't keep putting it off, man. Go to Rula.com/KFTV and get started today. That's RULA.com/KFTV, man. Take the first step and take control of your mental health with Rula. All right, shout out to my friends at Rula for sponsoring today's show. Okay, let's see what else we got in here. All right, Curtis West, I think Muted Grouse is WFAN fired the Worst Take Midday Show. Yeah, they did. They did. I heard about it. It did come across the wire. And look, you guys know, some of you guys know the exchanges that was going back and forth. There were shots fired here. We sent shots back. And, all I'll say in that regard, it's never a good thing to see people out on the chopping block, but I would say that, before you come over here, make sure your house is tidy. I said that on the postgame show, and I meant it. And that was directly at Sal. Sal took shots at us, and hey, like I said, make sure your house is in order before you take shots at my house. This is a for the fans, by the fans movement. You see this right here. We never cheat the game. It's never about hot takes and all of that outlandish stuff. We just keep it real. We just are who we are. It's a brick by brick movement. And that's that. There's no act behind it. So, look, the game has changed, man. The game has changed. Like, coming back many years ago, you look at it, everybody was fighting for spots like that. Now, the creators have the mic. I've been saying it time and time again. I've been saying it on Twitter. Look at all these deals that creators are landing with network partners. Look at what my guy Ariel Helwani is doing with Yahoo. Look at what Kevin O'Connor's doing with Yahoo. You can look all over the place. Creators have the mic. So for you guys at home that are aspiring creators, yes, it's okay to aspire for one of those spots. It's okay to look for a job at ESPN or even FAN or SOI. It's all right. No, nothing wrong with that. However, if you start with yourself first, build your brand first, build your lane first, the opportunities are endless. Opportunities are endless. Because now what you're seeing is a lot of the guys that went in the reverse path, now they got to figure out how to recover when the thing slips, is taken right, the rug is get pulled on you. That's with any job. You never know what the suits above you are planning in terms of your future. So I would really recommend for people, man, like, try your best. Try to build a lane. Even if you have a job now, build your side hustle so that eventually your 9 to 5 that's building out your 5 to 9, hopefully you can reverse that. Because you just never know what the suits up top have in store for you tomorrow. So I encourage that, and I hope that when people, watch what we're doing, this is why when we do the interviews and we have people on, yeah, we're going to talk Knicks and all that, but the basketball will take care of itself. I like to bring on the high achievers to inspire others in whatever field they're in. So that's part of my passion in interviewing. Like, I like to talk to the Breens and, all these guys that we had over the course of this journey, this 9-year journey that we've been on. It's for the people at home to be inspired in their own journey and take action. Because as I said, you just never know. And in these times, you can take control of your own destiny. There's a million ways to be discovered. And it doesn't have to be in media. It doesn't have to be in sports. It doesn't have to be that at all. It doesn't have to be podcasting. But you got to focus on building your brand. That is your resume. That is your billboard for the world. And now there's no barriers. So that's just my little soapbox rant. I do that from time to time. But when I feel it in my spirit, I got to share it. That's just it. So I hope, people appreciate it. Oh, shout out to my guy, man. And this guy, I got to talk to him. My guy, J. Cal, in the building. $50 super chat. Says OG Bridges and assets in February for the Greek Freak makes us slightly better if he's healthy. We should focus on this squad for 2 months, and if he's available, we can have a debate at the deadline. That's tough, man. I hear you, J. Cal. But you got to, here's the thing. Like, we talked about it with Yossi. We got to be able to get, if you're going to tell me I'm getting rid of the dog and even Mikal, I need a little bit something back. Don't tell me it's Kyle Kuzma. Please don't tell me it's Kyle Kuzma. Like one of the scenarios we ran through with Yossi yesterday was it, like, let's say potentially it did happen and you did lose OG. Maybe you lose OG and Cat. Maybe you get Phoenix involved and you're able to get Dylan Brooks and Grayson Allen involved. Like something like that. Something like that. You got to be able to get some stuff back here, man. Giannis can't cover Shea, Jalen, and Chet all in one shot. The point would be for Giannis to come here and be playing with those guys. That's what I would like to see. But that's why it's a very complex trade, man. Very complex trade. Well, shout out to J. Cal, man. Make sure you guys are following him. J. Cal runs two of the best podcasts in the game right now. This Week in Startups from a business standpoint. And for you guys that are into the politics, he has the All In podcast. Probably one of the best in the political space, man. No matter what side of the aisle you're on. My guy J. Cal does the damn thing. T. Berry on the Discord. Get on, mute your mic. T. Berry.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on?
What's good, man?
Family.
How you doing, man? What's the name? Where you calling in from,
bro?
Good,
man. It's Terrence Cox, man. Calling from Brooklyn, bro.
What's good, bro? How you doing, man? We're in Brooklyn. Oh, you don't have to say that, but shout out to BK. Shout out to BK. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I've been wanting to talk about Kolek for the longest, man. Yeah. My thing is the way Mike is using him right now with this playing time that he's getting. Like, I see the confidence building a little bit, but I think he needs to run the offense more. I think it was against Boston. I think it was Boston, and you had Kolek and Deuce in, and Deuce was running the offense, and he was doing his thing. I'm not gonna lie, but he can't get around like that. He was giving up the ball, turnovers, but he was knocking down shots. But as far as running around and getting people involved, we need the right people in those positions. And I think a lot of times, and not just the Knicks, like other teams, you see players go to certain teams and they'll do good, and then they go somewhere else and then they're a star.
Yeah.
Same thing with Josh. Josh came here after bouncing around like 3 different places. He came here and he the man right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sorry, just drinking some water. I'm with you. I think on the Josh thing though, I think Hart was always a good player. The problem is he was always losing. I mean, if you look at his winning percentage before he came here with the Pelicans, with the Lakers, with Portland, it was all, young rebuilds, stuck in the mud, just losing. So I think, Hart was always a guy who you admired, especially coming out of Villanova. Like, those guys have a very high floor. But when he got here, he really shined because the talent overall was better. Coaching was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, but I hear you. That's what I'm saying. I think
Okay.
he just got to learn. And he's a new coach here,
Yeah.
so he deals with a lot of new players. So he just got to learn to roster more. Just like with Josh, I when Ian said that the coaching staff had to convince him to start Josh.
Yeah.
So it's all about learning your roster, man, and getting people in their right roles. And I think, Kolek, I always compare him to Nash in the sense that he's small and he could run an offense.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say he's gonna be a Hall of Famer like Nash, but nobody was dependent on Nash to guard anybody.
Yeah.
But he could shoot and he could run that offense.
All
and
right.
I think Kolek has that potential for us off the bench, something like that, man.
All right, man. Let's hear what the people in the chat got to say, man. Rate that call in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Terrence Cox says he's got a lot of high hope for Kolek. He just needs the time. I've been encouraged with Tyler's performance. He's been better than last year for sure. You could tell the experience is paying off from last year, and especially who he's playing with and practicing against. He still needs a lot of work to me, though. I'm not sure playing time alone is just going to fix it. And you're trying to win games as well. Statistically, as according to Stephen Bonnie, if you guys read Bonnie's post today in the New York Post, Knicks are outscored 8.8 points per 100 possessions when Kolek's out there on the court. Take that for what you will. Like, statistics needs context, right? You want to match the eye test with it, but it hasn't always been great. But himself, as Ian said, defensively, you see some good things. Offensively, I think he's got to get a lot stronger. His three-point shooting has to improve. He's only shooting like 29% from the field. He's got to be a way better shooter. His shots are way off. Now, last night against the Hornets, he shot better. But by and large, his shots have been looking kind of flaky. So he's got to work on that. Much more aggressive in his drives. And defensively, he's got to be able to hold his own. Because if we're going to go into the playoffs in a dogfight at money time with him as the backup point guard, then he's going to get attacked. He's going to get full court pressed. Might get trapped, and he's got to be able to handle those pressure cooker situations. Regular season against the Hornets, that's not a test. The test comes when you got to go see Detroit in the first round, second round, conference finals. Tests. Those are tests. Different. You got to go see Orlando, and Suggs is barreling down your back, being annoying. Like those type of things. It is what tests you. Let's see. Shout out to AP. Salute to AP, man. That's another KFTV diehard. Shout out to AP. Says, I listened to WFAN for 25 years. KFTV all day, every day. Appreciate you, man. I definitely appreciate it, man. And again, not a knock on those guys. That station gave me a lot of the inspiration to start this in the way that we started it. And shout out to Evan Roberts, Tiki, and those guys. And shout out to the support staff, a lot of those guys, Rotten Gallo, all those guys. There's a lot of great people still. Dexter does some part-time stuff there. My guy Keith McPherson, he just left. But Keith, good dude, good, solid. There's a lot of solid dudes there still. And there's some clowns as well. But it all evens out at the end of the day, man. It all takes care of itself. Stalgia, $2 super chat. Why didn't we draft Ryan Nebhard? Yeah, the Knicks. That's the thing, man. When you're running out of time, running out of assets, not time, but when you're running lower on assets, you got to find some lightnings, some diamonds in the rough. When you're drafting low, you got to find it. And remember when Leon came in, Walt Perrin, he was this, that, and the other thing. And hey, they were treading in the right direction. Quick. Obi. Yeah, Yakubitis, Deuce, Grimes. Hey, Simulation at 15 and 14 last night. Shout out to the Simulation, right? He's still around. But now it's like, man, between Dadier, Diawara, like Kolek, it's hard. It is hard in the second round to find guys, but there's evidence out there that guys are playing very well around the spots that some of these guys would pick. So it's not really putting the Knicks in a good light. And they need them to be. That extended rotation, that extended bench is important for now and the future. So we'll see. We shall see. But great show, man. Great show. Salute to you guys, man. We'll be back Friday. You know the deal. You know the time. Knicks and Jazz post-game live. You know what it is, man. Speaking of the holidays, check out shop.KnicksFanTV.com. Get your merch in time for Christmas, man. December 18th, I would say, is the cutoff to make sure you get your merch. Fast shipping. You got your rally towels, your KFTV snaps. This is the new era joint. You know what I mean? 3D embroidery. You see it. We don't play around with you. You know, you got your It Wasn't Pretty, but It Was Gritty tees. I got merch all over the place, man. Left, right, and center. But anyway, head over to shop.KnicksFanTV.com. We also have nice holiday bundles, gift sets that you guys can get for yourselves or the Knicks fans in your family, man. Once a Knick, always a Knick collection. We got it all for you, man. So head over to shop.KnicksFanTV.com to get yours. My franchise channel members, appreciate you guys as always. My guys on Facebook, appreciate you guys as always, man. Facebook is definitely doing the damn thing. Other things, we have a link. You know, I tell you guys all the time, make sure you guys are joining the mailing list, because all the time we always get the people like, I missed this show, I missed this watch party, I missed this, I missed that. If you join the mailing list, it goes straight to your email. Sometimes you guys miss your notifications on social media. A lot of you guys check your email and open it. Join the mailing list. We'll send you news updates on everything and great articles, man. My guy KFTV Omar, KFTV Jeff, they dropped a couple of good jewels this week alone. So all of that is on KnicksFanTV.com on the newsletter side. Make sure you guys are checking it out and supporting those guys, man. Also, you can catch Remy's recaps. Our guy KFTV Remy breaks down every game, and he does his player ratings. Remy's a great writer. Remy's definitely a great writer. This was the latest from KFTV Omar on the Giannis deal. So make sure you guys are tapping in. It's all there at KnicksFanTV.com. These guys are doing great work, very thoughtful pieces here, and I want to make sure that we are supporting them as well, because behind the cameras, we got a great team that's putting this all together. Another good one from KFTV Omar on the defensive evolution of Mikal Bridges. So make sure you guys are going to KnicksFanTV.com, and then you can just drop your email right here. Drop your email right there, and that's it. That's all you're going to get. We're not spamming you with anything. We'll drop the recaps. We'll drop the blog posts. If Ian is coming on, we'll drop it in your email, and it's that simple. Plus, you know, you got your merch items and stuff like that there. So, hey, we're doing a good job, man. Really just delivering the content on all different fronts for you guys. And so just make sure that you guys are supporting our writers as well, man. All right? So have a great day, everybody, man. Once again, appreciate the time, and we'll see you guys on Friday, man. Peace.